Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Professional fighter and personal trainer Eddie Jackson is today's guest. Eddie will talk about his intense years in the martial arts, as well as working with celebrities and others to help them reach their full potential.
Professional fighter and personal trainer Eddie Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. To be honest, I was scared not to, but that's another story. Eddie, lots of young people watch wrestling and MMA, and I want to be a fighter when I grow up. But when you were young, what did you want to be?
Definitely not a fighter, that's for sure. Actually, probably like any other kid, be a cop, firefighter, and, something cool like that. But, I accidentally stumbled onto being a professional fighter instead. I was always, I'm from Inglewood, California. So, it was a rough upbringing, rough neighborhood. And, so we were constantly always fighting, getting into trouble, fighting going to school, fighting coming home from school. I wasn't, didn't have a one of those, nice upbringing. So a lot of anger, a lot of issues like that. And, so I guess at one point I went to a gym and just started punching the bag and trying to, let loose my anger in that way. And, sparred with a couple of the guys, and, coaches saw me and they thought I had something special. So they started working with me one-on-one, just trying to tighten up my skills and technique. And it kind of just blossomed from there.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was already in probably high school. So maybe 15, 16-ish, somewhere around there.
So walk me through, we see fights all the time, but there are some episodes of training montages and whatnot. But what does a day look like for you when you were younger, let's say, and you went into that gym? There's so many other things. Everybody thinks that you go in, you bang, and that's it. And most people have no idea of the dedication. And, I know how much I hate working out. So, and it's not the same workout you guys do. So what does that look like, a full day of training?
I mean, so usually when I'm in fight camp, we train 3 times a day. So it's, in the morning we'll go on our run, 4, 5, 6 mile run, come back in the afternoon. We'll have our kickboxing session, and then come back in the evening for either a strength and conditioning or a Jiu Jitsu session. And it's basically like that Monday through Friday. Saturdays we spar, and then Sunday is kind of like a rest day. But it's, we pretty much train 3 times a day during fight camp, and that's usually about maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks of camp. And along with our diet and stuff like that. So it's pretty brutal during fight camp. Not the nicest of people. So, it's we can be tough to be around, but that's all we're doing. And it's, like I said, we're like that for about 4, 5, 6 weeks of training.
Interesting. What's the difference? How different is someone's shape and their abilities 6 months before a fight, could it be boxing, MMA, as compared to 2 months before a fight? Is it 12 months of grueling stuff, or is it that 6-week thing, but there's still some kind of light working out going on before then?
So most fighters are in shape already, and then there's fight shape. So we're in shape, and then there's fight shape. And basically, we stay in shape all year long because we're constantly working out, training, whatever. But like I said, once we have a fight camp, that's when everything buckles down and we get more serious, and it just gets more intense. So, you want to peak at the right time. So let's just say we have if I have a fight coming up in, you know, in 2 months. So I'm slowly preparing myself for that fight. I'm trying to do everything right. Trying to stay healthy, trying to train smart, and of course, diet and everything, because there's weight cutting. So I fight at 170, which is welterweight in MMA, but I walk around usually at around 193. So I have like a 22, 23 pound cut, weight cut that I have to make. So you want to do that gradually and do it the right way, so you don't get hurt, and you want to peak at the right time. So by the time fight night comes around, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm the sharpest. I'm the strongest. I'm the healthiest on fight night. So like I said, we stay in shape. So there's in shape and then there's fight shape.
Right.
And unfortunately, we don't stay in fight shape all the time because we like to party. We want to drink. We want to eat. We want to have a good time. And that all ends in fight camp. It's all discipline. No partying, no drinking. You're basically training, like I said, training 3 times a day. We're eating like a rabbit. We're drinking tons of water. I mean, you are at the healthiest you will ever be. So, there's in shape and then there's fight shape, and fight shape is usually at least a good month and a half, 2 months of training, solid for fight shape.
Right. Thank you for that, because it's also it's to keep that, maintain that for 12 months. Would be tremendously, and as you said, not only is it difficult, but you want to enjoy your life also. So
right.
I definitely get that. You mentioned jiu-jitsu, and because of movies and Bruce Lee and all things that are highlighted, we see a lot of karate. We've heard of taekwondo, and jiu-jitsu mentioned a lot. But can you walk us through the philosophy of and the physicality of jiu-jitsu?
So jiu-jitsu, basically, it's there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ. It's basically, submitting somebody. So a lot of it usually in self-defense. A lot of women take it up for self-defense, and a lot of it is usually on the ground. So when you're on the ground, that's when you can cause the majority of the damage, instead of being on your feet. So it's basically manipulating joints, choking somebody out, basically old school, make them say uncle, tap out, give up, make them say uncle. And it's a form of martial arts where, like I said, it takes place on the ground, and there's many ways to submit somebody. You can either, if they don't tap out, you can break their arm, break their leg, snap a limb off, or you can choke them, put them to sleep. It's basically it's the ground game is what we call it. It's the ground game. So it's like I said, a lot of women normally angle towards jiu-jitsu because if they're being attacked, they're normally going to be attacked on the ground, and so they want to be able to defend themselves properly. So they might not be able to beat up a guy on their feet, but they can do well on the ground, defending themselves. And that's the difference between, I guess, boxing and kickboxing is on our feet, and jiu-jitsu is on the floor.
Got it. And also, so jiu-jitsu, that's a belted martial art like the other martial arts, correct?
Yes. So you start off as a white belt, and then you earn your blue belt, and then you earn your purple belt, and then you get your brown belt, and then your black belt. And then after that, there's degrees, like 2nd degree black belt, 3rd degree black belt. And usually it's about a good 10 years before you reach a black belt. I mean, if it's done correctly, it's about 10 years for somebody to get their black belt. Yeah.
I'm so excited to have a professional fighter on the show, because I've always read articles, and these arguments were way back when Ali fought, I think his name was Inoki, someone from Japan. And they always say that as great as a boxer is, if it's a boxer against a wrestler, that it's usually the wrestler who wins. Because like you said, once you're off your feet, that could be the game changer. So what are your thoughts on that? Because there's so many fights where boxers are fighting wrestlers and whatnot. What's your philosophy on that?
So I mean that's why MMA it's so entertaining, because you get all these forms of martial arts, and everyone was like, well, let's just see what happens if we match up a boxer and a wrestler, and let's just see what happens. So of course, wrestling it's about 65% of mixed martial arts. It's a dominating martial art. I mean, you can control the fight wherever you want the fight. You know, you can take somebody down, you can keep them there, you can control them there. So you get a really good world class boxer. If he's on the ground, his boxing goes to shit.
Right.
You know, just same way as a kickboxer. So you know, it's always fun to see what would happen. You know, if you have this guy versus that guy, and you know, so normally it's funny. It's if you usually have like two wrestlers, that'll actually like count out each other's martial art. So because one wrestler knows both wrestlers know how to defend takedowns, and both wrestlers know how to take each other down. So it's almost like, well, we do the same thing, so let's just count that out. And then all of a sudden the wrestlers turn into boxers or kickboxers because of that. So it's always interesting to see what would happen if you get, you know, a jiu-jitsu guy against a striker, you know, or a striker against a wrestler, whatever the case may be. So you just have so many styles, and you know, styles makes fights. So different styles, it's always entertaining because you just never know what's going to happen.
Right. So, what made you, Eddie? What made you flip the switch and decide to become a personal trainer? And how did you start to get celebrities as clients? So, what's that all about?
Well, we're not allowed to fight every day or every week because it's regulated through the State Athletic Commission. So, you know, we as fighters, we have to find another source of income, I guess that you can say. So, you know, if you were Mayweather making, you know, $42 million a fight, you don't have to be a personal trainer, you know. So because none of us are blessed with that bank account, we have to find other sources of income. So I kind of took up personal training and built up my clientele, and I just got pretty lucky, I guess, with the celebrity part of it. You know, one celebrity led to another, and you know, word of mouth. You know, good news travels fast.
Right.
So I got lucky, man. I got pretty lucky with the clientele that I have, and it kind of just grew from there. So, yeah.
Are a lot of these celebrities, are they getting in shape just to get in shape, or are they training for a role in a movie? Like you see these people like Jake Gyllenhaal and all these people who are, you know, within 6 weeks or 8 weeks, they're in there 6 hours a day and their whole body changes. Then you see them in a movie a year later and it's not the same body. So are these people doing this for a role or to stay in shape?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, you know, just, you know, trying to get in shape, you know, and then also getting ready for roles in their movies. A lot of it is just mental health, you know, just all the shit they deal with. They want to be able to find that outlet and work out. And a lot of them, you know, aren't so big on going to the gym publicly because of, you know, their fame status. So they want to do it privately. But yeah, I mean, a lot of them want to just stay in shape, you know, help them get ready for roles. And just honestly, a lot of it just mental health, I guess. They deal with a lot of shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's go back then into the ring. Who's the best opponent you ever faced and why, or the best fight you were in and why?
I got a couple or maybe a few of those. One of my first, as an amateur, actually, one of my first toughest fights was a kid named Joey Angelo. Shout out to Joey Angelo. Really tough kid. Before fighting him, I was knocking everybody out, and I hit this kid with everything I had, and I could not finish him. And he was probably one of the first fights I had that actually went to decision, because I just couldn't finish him off. He was just tough as nails. So, and it was one of my first titles, my first title shot. So that everything about that fight was very memorable because of who he was and just the way the fight went and it being a title fight. So he was one of them for sure. And actually my last fight, I fought Connor Bracken, and I moved up in weight class to fight him. And man, that was one of the toughest ones I've had too. Just being at the older age where I'm at now, and him being as young as he was, and he was up and coming. So that was a very that was a dramatic fight, actually, real dramatic fight. And but it was memorable as well, just the way the fight went, and it actually ended up as a draw. So I'm not too mad about that. But he really made me push and made me feel my age during that last fight. And yeah, it was those two in particular really stand out.
That's great. Well, nothing with the age difference and whatnot. But it must be great to have most of your fights when you knock people out. But it's great. You're definitely a competitor because you talked about a fight that was very competitive for you and challenged your body due to age or whatever. So, on my show, Eddie, we often talk about the story behind the glory. So what obstacles have you faced throughout your career? You didn't just get in the ring, boom, knockout, knockout, knockout. There were some problems and issues there and difficulties. What were some of those?
Oh man. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I didn't have much of a good upbringing. So being where I'm from, how I was raised, that brought a lot of adversity in my life. Not to mention being biracial. My dad's black, my mom's Sicilian.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you remember back in the day, that was a huge no-no.
Yep.
Yeah, being those two colors. So I didn't really get much love on both sides of my family because of that. And as a kid, you don't really understand why. Why you didn't get invited to certain birthday parties, or why you couldn't go to Disneyland, with the other kids or whatever it was. So, I mean, just dealing with that, and then just growing up where I grew up, how I grew up, I was always surrounded by a lot of just struggle and conflict, a lot of struggle and conflict, and then a sprinkle of violence. You add those three ingredients, and it's not the happiest. So I just felt like I've always been fighting for everything my whole life. Fighting to get loved, fighting for approval, fighting to get accepted. So, shit, man, why not do something I'm familiar with, is fighting, and it's what I've been doing my whole life. And, like, I never thought it would pay off, but fighting came natural to me, came easy to me. It was an outlet. And, once I made it a career, it just opened other opportunities for me, which I have now. And I guess I want to say fighting saved my life, and I owe so much to fighting. I just never thought I never thought, the thing I did most as a kid would be my my success now. And but yeah, like I said, I didn't have the greatest of upbringings, and it was tough. It was tough as a kid, and my family, and just being accepted. So yeah, I feel it's funny. I feel a lot of my anger and rage I brought into the ring, and which contributed to a lot of my knockouts. So yeah, I guess it helped me out. I mean, the way I was brought up kind of helped me out in the fight game.
Well, it's such an important lesson because, I was an educator for 33 years, and 7 of those years I was a dean of discipline. So we had many people who were fighters, got in a lot of fights. So I think it's an amazing story of success and reaching a potential. But do you have any idea? I mean, it's so, our childhood is sometimes so difficult anyway. And like you said, things have changed tremendously, but being biracial that many years ago, kind of unheard of, and not dealt well with teachers. Sometimes back in the day, students, your fellow teenagers, but also the parents. We're probably not saying nice things. And you need to talk about the families because people keep forgetting that, although this couple loves each other, the families back then especially are not happy about that match that was made. And they do take it out on a youngster like you. But I really need to know, because that's why the story behind the glory is so important, Eddie. You used it for something good. But I'm sure there are people in your neighborhood who did not use their anger and their negative aspects of their upbringing for something good. So what do you think was the main reason why you were able to go into a more positive direction with that anger and with that fighting?
Um, Honestly, Mark, it's real simple. I didn't have a dad growing up. He left when I was around maybe 11, 12. Um, and then so I didn't really have that father figure to help guide me and instruct me. Just getting through life. And at the same time, I had a daughter at a young age. I had my daughter when I was 17,
Mm.
and she played a huge role. I mean, I felt like now I have this huge responsibility, and a lot of my friends growing up, a lot of them, were in gangs. A lot of them were end up in jail. A lot of them died. And I hung out with these guys. I did the same thing they were doing, but I just wanted better for myself. I wanted more for myself. Wanted more for my daughter, um, and I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted her to look up to me as somebody that can as a protector and somebody she can follow, and not so much like a role model, but I just wanted to give her what I didn't have as a kid growing up, and I just wanted to be a father to her that I didn't have. And just a lot of the shit I was involved with, it was bad. I mean, I don't I don't want to put too much on this interview, but it was bad. I mean, it was really bad, and I just needed something had to change. Something had to change, and I wanted to be around for my daughter. And if I continued to do all the things my friends were doing, I was not going to be around.
Right.
And so I had to make a lot of decisions, and I had to cut a lot of these guys loose. A lot of my friends, I had to cut them off, and I almost had like with my fight career, it was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Right.
I mean, I started off as a boxer, so it was always 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Um, and at one point, I just kind of really had to make a drastic change in my life and just say, you know what, like I'm all in, and I never looked back. And I just I just wanted better for myself, and wanted to give more to my daughter. So I went full on with my fight career. Never looked back, and unfortunately I made a lot of enemies. During that, and any type of success brings the jealousy, brings the envy, brings the hatred level to the next level. And I dealt with that. I was ready to deal with it. My daughter was important to me. My daughter was everything to me. So I was like, this is all for her. And I just never looked back. And I kind of just took my fight career to the next level, and got through all the obstacles that I was facing and dealing with. And then I ended up having a son. While I was 25, I had my son. So now I got both of these guys just like, really pushing me to just try to live right and do the right thing.
Well, that's a great story. There's no better reason than for your children, if not for your children. But you were a kid who had a kid, and to be able to flip, that is so difficult for a teenager. And kudos to you for being able to navigate that while you were in the fight game. So, in closing, we got about a minute left. What's next for Eddie Jackson?
Oh my God, what's next? Well, I am still in the process of opening up another gym, and kind of just building my empire. Still little by little. I'm not one to put things out there and talk about it
Right.
before it happens. Kind of like just fly under the radar and just keep the positive energy low key until it actually happens. But I mean, just kind of what I'm doing day by day. I'm living the dream, Mark. I'm living the dream. Um, I'm happy. Dealing with a lot of good people around me. Still have a few opportunities, you know, coming in and taking advantage of those, and just keep doing what I'm doing, but just take it to the next level.
That's great. Yeah. I love the fact that you don't want to say anything until it happens. That's a great philosophy because you don't want to jinx it, but you're doing so many different things and in business, and people can, really get the life lesson from watching you today. So I just want to say, Eddie Jackson, thank you for being a guest and sharing your incredible experiences with us. I do want to remind the viewers not to forget to watch us on E360 TV, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course our YouTube channel. So remember to subscribe. Eddie Jackson, thank you so much for your honesty and openness here today. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.